What's that?
We need to get it started.
Yeah, the movie started, Megan.
So what we do, we take?
Yeah,
Told them I was
take
starting in
whatever.
3 minutes.
Yes. You want a piece of pie?
You want some fig pie?
Get your piece of pie.
Ooh, I asked for milk and we got milk.
Okay, the movie is gonna start.
One.
Thank you so much for inviting me out here today to the St. Landry Council on Aging. I'm excited to be able to share with you a video in a moment that actually tells you the history of what Pie Day is. Now, a lot of us knew people baked pies before Easter, but we didn't realize the tradition was going on in different towns. Thanks to Drew Landry, a local producer of AOC, he put this video together, and it's got little snippets of a little bit about why it was created and who started it. So, without further ado, we're going to start the tape now. A little education on Pie Day.
For a good while, the strong tradition in the capital area and other small Canadian communities more than the city, where people would make pies on Holy Thursday, and then on Friday morning you couldn't eat it or drink anything until 10 o'clock in the morning.
Morning and welcome home today. It's mighty early.
No, mercy. Oh, it's got to come. They got to come.
The first kinds of pies that used to be made on this day that we know of in Louisiana were custard pies. You know, just the egg custard.
Ellie wants to know what you're working on. Oh, I'm making chocolate custard for the pies. Or chocolate pie.
Make chocolate pies every year?
Make different pies every year practically, but I think they made some every year. Mostly coconut and vanilla custard and peach and blackberry and figs and you name it.
As long as I can remember, my grandmother did pies. Every Friday, all the neighbors came over and we had pies. She tells me that her mother did pies. The reason why they done is something that has kind of eluded us because I've asked and my grandma didn't really know. She passed away in 1997.
I need you to move so I can get a spatula.
Bye-bye. Thanks again.
I'm leaving you. I did my, I promised we, y'all made the fire.
And she said if it wasn't good, she didn't do it.
My great-grandmother did Pie Day, and everybody in Scott, that was the tradition. You went over there and ate pies, and they made pies for probably 50 years, and my grandmother did it for 50 years. And then about 15 years ago, my mom took over. When my grandmother passed away, my mom took over. Then she did it probably 10 years, and Paul's been doing it for about 5.
Behind this was perhaps that being Good Friday, a day of fasting, that this may have been their only meal.
You could drink coffee standing up, you'd never get rich.
Go get her a chair.
And Mrs. Bowers is kind of the sergeant or the general.
She's the general.
Yeah. Quality control
Yeah.
with the pie making. She didn't just start this yesterday.
No, Miss Bowers helps. She kind of ramrods the whole thing, and she started with my grandmother.
Then when you want a pie, I throw it. But you mustn't believe everything I say.
Some of them does it just perfect work, and some put the crust a little bit thicker than I like, but that's okay. I love it.
Sure. Yeah, my dad's 88, and he picks all the blackberries the year before, and he freezes blackberries for us, and then he picks all the figs, and he cans the figs. And so when Paul gets the figs, they're ready to go in the pies. And so my brothers help cook. They all cook the pies. We have about 4 ovens going, and everybody runs the pies.
We've all been inducted into this pie-making deal. It has now become a part of our lives on the Holy Thursday.
What goes into making a pie?
Okay, where's that list?
2 eggs, 2 cups of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1 cup of cooking oil, a half cup of buttermilk, 5 cups of flour. This was my mother's old recipe.
No, my recipe. And in 60 years I have it.
But mother's the same.
It's the same as his mother.
How long have you been doing it?
Oh, we just started. Oh, how many years? 100 years. 100 years.
And not just his pies, but the idea, I guess I did quite a study of this, the idea of eating something sweet and breaking your fast early, not waiting until Jesus was even off the cross, you know.
I'm Camille Blanchard. I was born and raised in this area here, and I'm 76 years old. And this is my wife, Lillian. She was a Ontario before we were married.
I was in between Beaubridge and Torx.
Yeah.
He brought me here for 51 years. Some call it torts, some call it pie. I call it torts.
Well, Pie Day is always on Good Friday, and it's a tradition that I've read started in France in about the middle of the 1100s. And it was always a sin for Catholics to work on Good Friday, so on Holy Thursday, people would make homemade pies.
We can't eat supposedly before 10 o'clock.
Okay.
We still kind of have that little habit, you know.
It's a tradition.
Yeah. And
Catholic tradition, and we observe it.
It was already in existence when Greg and I got married in '62.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I was introduced to it. And you really had to fast. You couldn't brush your teeth, couldn't drink water, no coffee, nothing until pie time.
And my mother used to wake us up really early to get us with some story about a two-headed calf being born or something, so we'd get really awake and go see it and forget it was Good Friday, and we'd have to suffer from 6 o'clock in the morning till 10.
Reg's mother is the one that originally taught the idea.
My mother really liked pies a lot, and she would have everybody come here and bring homemade pie.
But what would happen is we do the Stations of the Cross, and the last one would be at the church. And after it was over, the priest would go with Sudie's family to the house and bless the pies and stay for Pie Day himself.
Wow.
Because not many people were still doing it in Catawba.
And they'd stop at each Station of the Cross and say some prayers. And that event used to be later in the morning than it is now. And the priest, who didn't like Pie Day, set it up a couple of hours earlier so that he could interfere with Pie Day. Because some of the people who would come to Pie Day, our mama, for example, would always go to the Way of the Cross.
And they'd get out pieces to do Station of the Cross and block the highway for hours and all to keep people from getting here. And they wouldn't come and bless it or anything. But every once in a while they'd get a priest like from Belgium or someplace or Africa who didn't know any better. And he'd come. And I remember this one, he could hardly speak. He said, bless these pies and those that made them.
That's it for today. And we love you. Bye.
Every time I see your face, you tell me, baby, baby, got God's grace. And every time I slip and fall, you tell me, baby, baby, must not be that tall. One day we're all gonna be together, baby, 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 baby. Just you wait and see. One day we're all gonna be together, baby, 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 baby. When God says be mine. When God says be mine.
But people was a real fire in their belly to keep the old way.
Greg's mother was the one that originally taught the idea of putting the cross. He had my daddy build the original crosses along the road from Pine Alley to Catahoula. It's on all those big oak trees.
And the whole group of people walks all the way. And those who are too old to walk ride in a wagon or something across. And they stop at each station and cross the 60 grab.
I'd say about 10 years ago, those old way across, they were all coming apart. So the night of Columbus acquired some real good cypress, and we redone all the Station of the Cross. There's quite a bit of the young generation that is trying to keep it up, and we're hoping that they will.
I'm heading back to Louisiana, deep in the heart of Cajun land, where I long to visit all my friends and swing and dance to a Cajun band. Well, I can rose and the Gulf wind blows, where sugar cane grows and the bayou flows. Oh, how I miss my rice and gravy, best you had and the dumpling baby. Oh, how I miss my Cajun coffee, best you had and the dumpling baby.
I think the biggest crowd we had was about 125 people. The Michaud Brothers band, I don't know if you're familiar with them. The Michaud Brothers, 5 brothers who have a Acadian band. And they happened to be camping out on my land here, on horseback. And they made a pie on their campfire. And they brought it here and played music all the rest of the day.
And different groups of Catholics who were sort of not near a place where they had a lot of priests always, and that was very important here, you know. Everybody was a Catholic, but there were hardly any priests. And it was kind of a do-it-yourself Catholicism. They made up a lot of their own rules, which makes it heaven for folklorists, you know.
Yes, family that you haven't seen for a long time. It's not a wedding or a funeral. You can just visit. But friends come by. It's a relaxed, fun day, getting a lot of people together that you love, haven't seen in a while.
So I make crawfish pies mostly, and this year I'm making blueberry pie. And people make quiches and, of course, sweet pies also.
She's got it. She's got it. Yeah.
What's a lemon yamma ding dong?
There's a yamma ding dong.
What?
It is. Look at that. You can't tell me that's not a yamma ding dong. Oh, it's a surprise.
Are you sure it's yamma ding dong?
I'm positive it's yamma ding dong.
What's in that?
Hey.
Take a guess. With a name like Yam-a-Llama. Now that should give you a clue.
Lamb meat?
Yam-a-Llama.
You can't have a lamb, that's meat.
No, Yam-a-Llama.
With a Y,
That should be a clue.
Lamb?
It's a yam.
No, it's gotta have lamb.
No, it's not lamb.
Does it have... Oh, wait. It's a yam pie!
Highest assurance of the goodness of providence seems to me to rest in the flowers. All other things, our powers, our desires, our food, are really necessary for our existence in the first instance. But this rose is extra. Its smell and its color are an embellishment of life, not a condition of it. It is only goodness which gives extras, and so I say again that we have much to hope from the flowers. That's from Sherlock Holmes. And one other thought, when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will finally know peace. And that's Jimi Hendrix.
There was a priest from Europe, I don't know where, I think Belgium, who once came because he didn't know any better. Miss Sudie asked him, and he didn't know not to come. And he said, "Bless these pies and those that bake them." Amen.
Pie day. It's
cream, chocolate, peanut butter, and I tried the one with just all those sprinkles with icing on it, and then with strawberry. I haven't tried the cheese pie yet. I can't remember any else pies I tried.
Okay. I have a question. Where's Catahoula exactly?
Around.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank you for staying out here, and I hope that this tape did kind of give you information you didn't know about. I was aware of Karen Crow, which is where I live, once at the end of the year, and usually around this time, I was aware that families would get together and been doing this tradition every Good Friday. On Thursday they bake, on Friday they put long tables in Karen Crow, and the whole town comes and everybody samples each other's pies. And as you saw in the video, there's so many different ways to make them. They're not all pretty. Every recipe tastes different. It depends on your taste. And so in closing right now, I want to thank the use of Drew Landry's video to give us more insight of what Good Friday is and what it represents, and why families use this to get together, also to keep the tradition going. 50 years ago, I came to Lafayette, Louisiana as a transplant from Shreveport, Louisiana, and I'll tell you, I married a Cajun farmer, and his mother was a true Cajun lady. She canned everything, she baked everything, she cooked 3 meals a day. She was used to feeding the people in the fields. And thanks to her, who's no longer around, I'm a transplant, and I've passed the tradition of canning and also making pies and put a little twist here and there. Thanks to her, she had patience with this person who never cooked before, who will never see a size 3 again, and I don't care, because the food is amazing here. And what I want to bring up is there were people here the last time I was here at a bingo game that had asked me the question about canning. How many people here actually have canned? Okay, usually, yes, but believe it or not, there's a handful of people who would love to, but as you know, you just got to step out and do it. And so if I have anything to share with the new beginners of canning, follow the recipe. Don't tweak it the first time around. Try it out. As you get more experienced, you'll learn that usually the recipe that you follow the first time will be the best time. Now, with that said, in honor of my mother-in-law who passed away several years ago, that is the handout I gave you. It's called Kelly's Sweet Dough Pie. And Kelly's known for her sweet dough pies in Lions Point, Louisiana. She never entered her pies into a contest, but several years ago I entered her pie in a contest, and she won. So that was a great tribute to her. And with another printout, for those of you that's never canned, this is actually the recipe that I use to can plain figs. Then you get recipes for strawberry fig, peach figs. I mean, you just can go on and on and on. And so with the other recipe, which is the basic sweet dough pie recipe, that is so close to my mother-in-law's recipe. So I tried all of these pies and the recipes on the brochures. Naturally, I used Kelly's sweet dough pies. And there's not ones with butter and ones with Crisco. In those days, everything had to be original. Real vanilla, real Crisco, real butter. And believe me, it does make a difference. So, but when you didn't have butter, Crisco was a great substitute. And my family prefers the Crisco flavor.
Where is Lions Point?
Lions Point is a little town in between Morse, Louisiana, and I was there. You would think I'd know exactly how to get there, just outside of Crowley. Okay. It's like the outskirts of Crowley. Yes, ma'am. Little bitty, it's a farming land. I mean, it's all rice and things like that. So what's amazing is on this video, it's so funny. I decided I wanted to share with you guys something very simple. But what amazed me is when I went to KDN Open Channel, which is where we do our television station, this man had produced 150 something DVDs. And I said, well, how much is this? Because I was thinking about you and me coming out here. It works in perfect with what I wanted to just share a little bit. And it turns out he made these free to be given away. So I only picked up around 25 or 30, but I can pick up 150 if I need it, but I didn't want to be greedy. But thanks to Drew Landry and all the people you saw on here, this was just a sample. I had never heard, and I've tasted a lot of sweet dough pies. I've never heard of a recipe with buttermilk. I want to slow this video down, and I want to try the buttermilk. So with that said, I want to thank you again for coming out here and staying. And hopefully you are still passing this tradition around. I know that I'm very glad that my daughter has picked it up, even though she did not help me this time. She does know how to do it. So thank you very much. And Acadiana Open Channel is the station it will be playing on. We will fix it. We'll share it with Judy Doyle. She will fix it, Miss Alice, and we will share it on YouTube and Facebook. Okay, for those of you that don't get Costa Cable, it will be on YouTube and Facebook. So thank you again, and we hope that you enjoyed and got some.